Welcome back to episode 32 of the 31305 podcast. Damn, we're getting there. We're almost to 50, I guess is the next big milestone. But what we're also close to is football season. We had our first preseason games. We've been gone for 2 weeks. We've had everyone's played at least one preseason game now. So we know exactly who's going to be great, who's going to be terrible just based on one preseason game. And by the looks of it, the Lions might win the fucking Super Bowl this year.
The 2008 Lions would like to input that they went
Yeah.
4-0 in the preseason and 0-16 in the regular season,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
But yeah, glad you had a good little vacation. The reason we were gone last week, Alex got married, so
I did not. My fiance's sister got married, and I had my giant board exam, which I took. But we're back. Uh, Thankfully, the sports world did not disappoint and brought us some good, juicy news to talk about. Uh, some fights, some non-UFC fights, actually. Some just stupid moments by commentators on air and off the field for some athletes. But we'll get into the biggest story, which, I mean, it's got to be because it's been for the last 2 weeks, almost 2 months. That's college football realignment. The Pac-12 is dead. It's dead.
Pac-12 is gone.
It's gone. USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington are now all confirmed to be heading to the Big Ten, or whatever the hell they're going to call it, because now they have 18 teams. I saw a cool
Yeah.
logo redesign, which was
And
cool.
once FSU and Clemson go, and we'll talk about realignment, we'll get into some actual realignment because it's fucked. Everything
Yeah.
is screwed. The ACC is probably done.
Yeah.
Clemson or FSU already said it. Not if, it's when they leave the ACC. So yeah, but
Yeah.
the Pac-12 is completely dead.
Yeah, Arizona, Utah, and Arizona State are joining the Big 12 starting in 2 years. So the Pac-12 is down to four. It's Arizona, no, sorry, it's Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State. So whether they join the Big West, the Mountain West, whether they just join other conferences that are going to exist, who knows? Personally, I hate it. The Big Ten does not need 18 teams. The SEC does not need 18 teams. The Big 12 does not need 18 teams. 15 should be the absolute max, or 14 should be the absolute max. But I hate it. I wish that none of this happened. I'm glad, yeah, Texas, Oklahoma maybe got out of the Big 12, but they're just going to run into way more competition in the SEC. And that kind of started the drain. But well, I don't know. What do you feel about it all?
I don't know. It was bound to happen. It's all a money grab. It's just like now you're gonna lose a bunch of rivalries, like the Apple Cup, Washington State and Washington. Are they gonna play every year now? I don't know. Once Washington gets all this the Big Ten money, are they even gonna be able to compete? Is Washington State gonna be able to compete? So I, it's just you're screwing over rivalries. It's all a money grab by media, I guess, essentially. Um, I don't know what happens with the rest of the Pac-12. I know Stanford was rumored to maybe go to the ACC, which would be comical. That
Atlantic Coast
at the
Conference, and
Atlantic
it's on the
Coast
West
Conference,
Coast.
exactly, yeah. Oregon State, Cal, and Washington State probably stay in the Pac-12 to rebuild whatever they can get. I mean, I guess you're probably going to pull some teams like Fresno State, maybe Boise State, just teams, Colorado State. You're
San
gonna put,
Diego State, Gonzaga
yeah,
in basketball.
yeah, you're gonna pull a shit. It's gonna be a pretty shit league for a bit. You're probably gonna pull some mid-major teams into it. I mean, screw USC and UCLA because they were the ones that started it. If they don't go to the Big Ten, I feel like everything's fine. UCLA and USC do it. Now Oregon and Washington feel like they need to make a move. They go to the Big Ten. And now you have ACC teams, FSU and Clemson. Where do they go? They said they want out. FSU's already said they're gone. So do they go to the SEC? Do they go to the Big Ten and just make a mega conference? I think in 10 years when we look at this, there's going to be two conferences. That's it. It's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten. Everything is just going to combine into two giant leagues. I hate it. I feel like football is going to be ruined. There's just no regionality anymore.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
had pride in going against the people in your same state, in your same division, in your same conference, and now it's just what rivalry is Texas South Carolina going to look like? What rivalry is Washington versus Nebraska going to be? These aren't historical teams that have a huge dealing of history with each other, and you lose all that. Which is one of the best things about college football. You have these historical matchups in the past, great rivalries that continue. Even when your team sucks, you can beat your rival and still call it a good year. You know, so I hate it. I think also that for the ACC schools, they're locked into a media deal. So if they wanted to leave, I think they'd have to pay like
They
$100 million or something
Yeah,
crazy.
it's like the Charter of Rights or whatever. It's something like that. I don't have it off the top of my head,
It's
but
something
yeah, FSU is like outsourced to JP Morgan to raise money to buy out of their rights deal.
yeah.
So I feel like once FSU and Clemson go, like, no offense, but that's the ACC. Like
Yeah.
basketball wise,
Or
yeah, UNC and Duke obviously basketball
yeah.
wise, and
Hmm.
Miami was once a great football program and is starting to get back there, but all of this is driven by football. We know the leaders are
Hmm.
making the decisions based on football. And like this is going to screw people over in basketball, baseball, swimming,
Yeah.
equestrian. You're going to have these student athletes going from USC is going to have a home game against Michigan to they're going to have to go to Happy Valley for a basketball game 3 days later, and then
Yeah.
probably have another home game against Oregon the next day. So
Yeah. The football it won't matter too much. It's once a week, but like I mean, the sports that play more than once a week, they're screwed. Like
yeah,
all the smaller athletes, because people don't realize athletics is more than just football. Like, of course, football's the main reason for the money moves, but like, because that's the TV deal money that has to go with
yeah,
it all. But all the other sports are just so screwed. And
yeah,
it's
they
so
are.
hilarious because there's an interview that the Pac-12 commissioners had in 2018 about how, oh yeah, like our TV deal expires in 2023. We're gonna have all these options to like have a new TV rights deal with Apple and all these streaming services. And now 5 years later, and he's done the absolute worst job that you could as the commissioner of the Pac-12 and just completely screwed over their conference. So I don't know. That college football game is going to be crazy. That comes out next year. I was hoping
Oh
for
my
at least some
god.
kind of rivalries, but now they're going to have to rewrite all the script for the leagues. Um, but we'll see what happens in 3 years. It's not going to. It's not going. to
No,
Texas and Oklahoma are
next year.
first.
Yeah,
Next year,
next
Texas,
year.
Oklahoma. The following year is well. This year it starts actually because UCF's in the Big 12.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
UCF's in the Big 12 this year. I think SMU is
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So it's going to start even this season.
The divisions are gonna be so fucked up. We're not even gonna know what we're talking about half the time because it's just It seems like every other year someone's gonna make a move.
Yeah.
Granted, this year, no disrespect to the Big 12, UCF, and whoever else SMU went. We don't care about them. That's not where the national champion is gonna come from. Perfect segue. We got the first AP poll of the year this morning. Um, I don't know if I'd say any surprises, but the University of Michigan should be number one. But
they lost. They lost to TCU. I'm sorry, you can't
yeah, no,
lose to TCU in the semifinal game and be the number
I
one team in
don't,
the country.
I don't have any qualms with uh, why can't I think of the word with the
The
rankings?
list, yeah.
Yeah, Georgia's gonna try to be the first team in the AP era to win back to back to back. Michigan was number two, Ohio State number three, which I think I'm not gonna lie, that's a little overrated. We don't even know who their quarterback is this year. Obviously, you
Hmm.
still have great wide receivers at Ohio State, great running backs, but we don't know who's playing quarterback. It seems like this is gonna be the first year since like what 20. When did Justin Fields get there? The
2018,
2018.
2019, yeah.
So it's going to be like the first time in 4 or 5 years that we don't know what we're getting out of an Ohio State quarterback. It's two 4 stars. Well, I can't think of either of their names right now. One of them's last name is Brown. We don't know ball. I don't know ball. I don't care about Ohio State. I don't pay attention. But I don't know. It seems like the first year in like five that we're not going to know what we're going to have behind Ohio State. Alabama at 4, overrated. LSU at 5.
I think the biggest surprise was FSU at 8. I mean, this is a school that wasn't ranked to end the season, and they're
They're
8 in the country.
they're they're overhyped as shit this year. I think.
Like even as a UM fan, like if they were ranked, I wouldn't care. Like, but the fact that they're top 10, and again, they weren't even ranked to end the season. Like they're just buying into the hype. Imagine this team's gonna get better back to the glory days. I mean, it happened with UM a couple years ago later, so I'm not super upset. But the Pac-12 has 5 ranked teams, even though they're dissolving soon. But every team that's ranked is a team that's leaving. They don't have any teams that are staying that are currently ranked in the top 25 in football. So it goes to show, like, those are the teams that want the money because their football schools are better.
Yeah, and I mean we're gonna get some answers quick about some of these teams. Just looking, I think week one is what FSU LSU. That's number 8 versus number 5. We're gonna find out Jordan Travis versus is it Jaden or Jalen Daniels? One of them plays for Kansas, one of them plays for LSU, and I always get them confused.
Jalen, I feel. I feel like
I
it's
think it's
Jalen.
Jaden. I think it's Jaden Daniels that
I think
plays
it's
for
Jaden.
LSU. Uh, Someone correct us if I'm wrong. It's either Jalen. I think Jalen. No shit. No, it is Jalen Daniels. Jaden Daniels plays for Kansas. He's the quarterback. But anyway, we're gonna get 5 versus 8 in week 1, and then I think week 2 is Texas versus Alabama, the
Hmm.
rematch from last year's shit show of a game. I think UNC versus South Carolina is week 1. So we're gonna get it. Actually, South Carolina's not ranked. I thought they were 25, but they're not. But I think they were. Yeah, they got the second most votes. Oh hell yeah,
Yeah.
dude! Auburn got 7 votes. Let's go. We're in it. We're here.
You're not talking about the biggest matchups are in week 3. Bama's traveling to Tampa to take on the USF Bulls, man. That's going to be the big matchup of the season,
Yeah,
week 3.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure.
No, but yeah, there's going to be some great ranked matchups ahead of time. A lot of all the higher ranked teams play on the road early on in the season, too. So it'll be interesting to see if they can avoid some upsets like Utah, Baylor, which is going to be now a conference matchup in the future. Utah, Baylor. We got Notre Dame at North Carolina State. Ole Miss at Tulane, which is a random ranked matchup that happens. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens during this.
that game might score. That might hit the over of like 100.
Yeah, and of course the main
Man,
one,
Ole Miss
Texas
would go
Bama.
crazy.
Yeah, Texas Bama is the big one. But yeah, college football season will be back soon. I'm hype,
It
and
starts
we'll see.
2 weeks from. Wait, yeah, 2 weeks from this past Saturday we have
It's
games.
12 days.
12
12 days
days.
from today.
I mean, it's not good games. It's like New Mexico State versus. Actually, no, we get Hawaii versus Vandy. That's gonna be an absolute banger of a game. I can't
Navy,
wait.
Notre Dame, maybe.
That might be, I think, the best game of the first weekend.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, breaking news on the podcast.
Ezekiel
Michael
Elliott.
Zeke says he's preparing to sign with the New England Patriots. Uh, that doesn't really move the needle for me at all because they still have Mac Jones at quarterback.
Yep. Very true.
Uh, so I don't know. I'm not moved by that. But yeah, college football next, not this upcoming Saturday, but Saturday, August 26th. 2 ranked teams play. So I mean, USC is going to dog walk San Jose State, and Notre Dame is 20-point favorites over Navy. That game's in Ireland. I didn't even realize that. Oh, that might
Yeah,
be.
that'll be a cool game.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's still gonna dog walk them. Not gonna
Oh
lie.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, right after that, Thursday, August 31st, we get Florida versus Utah, and then Saturday, September 2nd, we get games. I don't think there's any ranked on ranked in week 1, other than FSU versus LSU on that's on the day before. That's on Sunday before Labor Day,
Hmm.
and then Monday, Clemson versus Duke. But hey, we're here. We've made it. College football starts in a couple of weeks. Maybe next week we'll do.
Predictions.
Eh, oh, my computer's like frozen. I was gonna say predictions, stuff like that. We'll get into that next week. Maybe the week after, since we're still waiting. It'll still be 3 more weeks until we actually get good games, but we've made
Yeah.
it, ladies and gentlemen. We're here. It is so close.
We did have a huge fight this past week, and we're not talking UFC. It was UFC Fight Night in Cleveland. The Cleveland Guardians were down. No, they were up. No, they were down 7-0, and Jose Ramirez hits an RBI double to narrow the gap to 7-1. And he slides into second base, he calls for time. He offers Tim Anderson to help him up. Tim Anderson says, "Who the hell are you? Get away from me." They get into a little spat. Then Tim Anderson throws his gloves down like he's about to be a next UFC pro light heavyweight champion of the world. And Jose Ramirez knocks him out on his ass. You see the fights break out. The bench is clear. The dugout's clear. And I love a brawl in baseball. I don't know about you. I like the overall like main pushing and shoving that happens. It's not even like any actual physical contact. But this is a full on fight, and Jose Ramirez got 2 games, and Tim Anderson got 6, which I think is hilarious because Tim Anderson's the one that got knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, he also started like, what was he? What was the beef? Like, it was a slide into second, and Tim Anderson said, "Fuck it, I've had a terrible season. I've only hit 1 home run. I might as well throw some bombs with the hands." But he couldn't even do
Yeah.
that. Zero pop Tim Anderson. I feel like this man is probably having the worst year of his life. Jose Ramirez didn't even hit him that hard. He clipped him, I guess, on the chin. But like, Jesus, there was an interesting stat that Tim Anderson is now the first player in MLB history to hit 1 home run and be knocked out in a game ever.
Mhm.
So, congratulations to Tim Anderson of the Chicago White Sox. You are now a meme forever. It's over.
Yeah.
You are
And he's
now.
had such a bad year
Oh,
too.
it's
Like
bad.
he has a team option next season for like 12 million, which the White Sox are not going to pick up because he's had such a terrible year hitting.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, great
poor
fight
guy.
night. You feel like as the summer gets down to the dog days, like even more so than it is right now, and teams have nothing to play for, or the opposite, the teams are so tensed up and like fighting for wild card position that it might just snap a fuse, and maybe we get some more fights in the future. But it's always in the Central divisions, by the way.
Yeah,
It's
there's
always
always
like
beef. The
it's always
Yankees
like
versus the
Reds.
Tigers. Yeah,
It's
that was.
Reds, Pirates. It's all these teams are in the Central, man. They got some good fans and they love their blood, I guess.
I'll never
Uh,
forget Miggy throwing hands with who was the
the
Yankees catcher?
catcher, Gary
Yeah.
Sanchez.
No, 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 no. Gary
No,
Sanchez threw a really dirty kick. He's a piece of shit for that. He ended up playing for Detroit like the next year, and he's the brother of someone else. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. If you look it up and you find it and you say it, I'm gonna feel stupid. But um, that shit was hilarious. Mickey throwing
Austin Romine.
yes, because his brother was Andrew Romine, who also played for the Tigers. So that was some good times right there.
Yeah. That was from 2017, dude. That was six
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, that was
Shit.
crazy. Back when Miggy could actually still hit.
You can just not discuss anymore. We've got a terrible, of course. What surprise from Colin Coward, of one of the many media personalities in the world of sports. I feel like he's one of the worst. I feel
He's
like even
bad.
Skip Bayless has. I feel like Skip Bayless even has at least some better points than Colin Coward, but Colin Coward does not know ball. With the terrible thing that happened last week, where he stated that Dwayne Haskins is one of the quarterbacks who will not win a Super Bowl in the NFL. He is correct because Dwayne Haskins passed away actually in South Florida last year, and of course doesn't play football anymore. Colin Coward once stating that a passed away quarterback going to win a Super Bowl, just it's terrible. It doesn't even surprise me because this man is
No,
just and
he's just
doesn't know
clueless.
ball. Still thinks Johnny Manziel is going to make it in the league. Still thinks Baker Mayfield was worth the number one overall pick. Uh, so yeah, just piece of shit. Piece of shit.
I don't know how this man keeps getting away with it. First, it was the trade Otani for every first round draft pick you own,
Mm-hmm.
which, if you know ball, I mean, you can't trade draft picks in the MLB, but Colin Coward does not know ball. And then it's not even like it was just like a list that Dwayne Haskins' name was on. He said it. He said Dwayne
Yeah,
Haskins will never win a Super Bowl. Like,
he
I
just said it like out
genuinely,
of pocket. It wasn't even on the
it was so
graphic.
out of pocket. It was just like, does he know that Dwayne Haskins, R.I.P. Does he know that this man passed away last year? I don't think he had a clue, which just goes to show this man does not know ball. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. I it's bad.
Yeah, terrible commentating from. We do have turmoil in Tampa in the world of baseball. Usually you'd think probably football. I mean, the Buccaneers have been good the last couple seasons with
Oh,
Brady.
they're gonna be pitiful this year.
They're going to be the second worst team in the NFL. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't worry, we're not doing our NFC South preview this week. We saved that for next
Yeah,
week.
that's next week when there's nothing else at all to talk about.
Yeah, we'll hit you with the South,
We
but
don't even want to talk about the South.
we don't. But the Tampa Bay Rays, I mean, they've definitely faded from the spotlight recently. They are still the second best team in the American League. They are still 2.5 games ahead of Houston, 5 games ahead of Toronto, only three back of Baltimore. But it kind of feels like they're like shine and like the good graces have moved on to the Orioles now to be like, oh my God, the Orioles are so good. Not like, oh my gosh, Tampa's so good. And for Tampa, the year just gets worse. So Shane McClanahan is likely out for the season. What do you make of what happened to the Rays, at least on the field? And we're talking about the off the field stuff in a minute.
They just like have absolutely tanked in the last 2 months or so. They had the greatest start that we've seen. They took the world by storm. I mean, granted, they're still 22 games above 500, so it's not even like they're doing bad. They just
Mm-hmm.
obviously were not going to be able to keep up with the production that they were doing at the beginning of the season. I think everyone kind of knew that, but was holding on to the hope that wow, this could be the greatest team ever. They have absolutely come back down to earth, and Baltimore's just kind of they started out good. They weren't setting the world on fire. They kind of were the Diamondbacks of the AL of like, wow, these guys are definitely like a year or two early, but playing really well, and they've kept it up. Unlike the Diamondbacks, holy shit, they've been bad. Um, Redemption arc starts this week though.
Who are
But
they playing?
we get a 3-game series against Colorado. So that's
Oh yeah, that's easy. Yeah,
and then a 4-game series against the Padres, who I think have actually given up on the season.
maybe now at this point they have.
I mean, yeah, we just took 2 of 3 from the Padres this last weekend, so
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, Tampa just has been. They still have a plus 139 run differential, which is crazy. They still have scored 620 runs, which is the most in the AL East by 45. And they've given up. Sorry, they're tied for the least amount given up with the Blue Jays at 481. It's still a really good team. This team is still going to make a deep run. Actually, I don't know because we're going to talk about it in a minute. Losing one of their star players, we'll see what happens there. And as well as Shane McClanahan, who's out with it was like a shoulder inflammation.
Hmm.
So they're shutting him down for the rest of the regular season. He's on the 60-day IL. I guess there's a chance he makes an appearance in the postseason. I don't think anyone really knows what's going on, and if they do, they haven't let the public know. I don't think it's like a Tommy John type thing. Obviously if it's with the shoulder, it's not. But
They said options include Tommy John surgery,
oh
and it's
wow,
just a
okay.
left arm injury right now.
Oh,
So he had his left forearm tightened up while he was warming up against the Yankees on August 2nd, and he hasn't started since then. So it could be Tommy
interesting.
John. And they already lost Shane Baz, they already lost Jeffrey Springs, Drew
Oh,
Rasmussen. So
dude, their rotation has been decimated by injuries this year.
yeah, Tyler Glass now was supposed to pitch on
Glasnow,
Saturday, but now he's pitching
yeah,
today.
he's
But I
pretty
know
good
it's
though.
just
He was
small.
out most of the year, but at least they got him back. But now you're losing your potential Cy Young to quite possibly the worst injury you can get in baseball. Um, Obviously, hope a full recovery is on the way for Shane. He's a great pitcher. Want to see him in the league. Who we don't want to see in the league anymore is Mr. Wander Franco.
Yep.
This is all alleged. We don't know. It's come out as of yesterday that he is a pedophile. Wander Franco allegedly has been dating a 14-year-old girl. Alex, how old is Wander Franco?
22.
Is that legal?
Not in any single country in the world.
No. Yeah. So he's gonna be taking his seat next to Chris Hansen here. No, what's his name? Is it Chris Hansen? No, Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen.
Chris Hansen's the one that does Red Zone. Can't wait for that. The what's the show called that he does? How to Catch a Predator or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, How to Catch a Predator.
Wander Franco, you are next on that show because he's already been put on the restricted list. The Rays came out and said with a statement that they understand what's going on and they've started a full investigation into what's going on. And then Wander got on Instagram Live last night and didn't deny anything. First of all, I don't speak Spanish, so maybe things were lost in translation. It was translated to me. I don't know if it was right or not. Someone could have just make some bullshit up, and I read it, and it was rude. I don't know, but essentially just said that he's not worrying about what other people say, and he's just going to do his own thing. So, what are your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Penitentiary's newest shortstop?
Well, he's not there yet because the Dominican Republic and MLB have launched their own investigations. The authorities in the Dominican are investigating about Juan Franco, of course, because he is a full-time citizen there. So they're going to deal with the legal repercussions. MLB is going to figure out whether his playing career is ever going to continue. He's on the restricted list. He's going to get paid while he's on the restricted list. He was signed to an 11-year, $182 million deal 2 years ago. So, yeah, he's going to throw away his entire life, money, of course, job security. Apparently, this is due to a 14-year-old coming out and stating that she was dating Wander Franco and was not given the Mercedes Benz and $200,000 that he promised to give her. So now she's whistleblowing. This could be, of course, an entire lie fabrication,
For sure.
but the fact that he's already on the restricted list as this is happening means there has to be some validity to it, right? I mean, even a rumor doesn't start this and get somebody suspended. So, I mean, for Wander Franco, if it's true, he's a piece of shit. It's to go to jail for the rest of his life. If it's not true, then again, we've said it before. Like, do we assume people are guilty until proven innocent, or innocent until proven guilty? Right? I mean, legally, sometimes it's best to do it one way, but ethically another. So, all I know is whatever comes out, I hope it's the truth. And if Wander Franco is a pedophile, the Rays just lost one of the bright young stars for the future, and Wander Franco compromised himself for someone who can't even drive. So,
Yeah, I mean, and I'm assuming even though he has guaranteed money, if you get arrested for something like this, your contract is probably null and void, and you don't get paid out that money. So Yeah, he's absolutely just thrown his. If this is true, we don't know. It could very well be. We've seen it in the past with money grabs towards athletes and accusations that usually never end up true. But the fact that the Rays called up a shortstop from the minor leagues like 2 or 3 days ago before this came out kind of says that they already knew something like this would get out and were prepared for it.
Yeah.
So they've started an investigation. He's on the restricted list. He will not travel with the team, and there is no timetable for the return. So hopefully in the next few weeks we get an update on this. Like you said, if he actually did this piece of shit, put him in jail. But like even if he didn't, this is still like a huge stain on his career. Like if he has no, he does have an idea who this girl is because there's pictures and videos of him kissing her. But if this girl
Yeah.
ends up being 19, 20 years old, of legal age and just trying to do it for a money grab, then like this guy's career is gonna have a stain on it anyway. People probably won't look past it. So it's just I think it's a lose lose for him no matter what. Even if he ends up being exonerated from everything, comes back that this was all a hoax, people are still gonna be like, well, why'd you put yourself in that situation? And I don't know. We can wait to see what happens. It's not looking good for him, if I'm being honest. But
Yeah, I mean, when would it look good for him, right?
yeah, I mean, maybe she's 20 years old and looks like she's 12, but yeah,
Still doesn't really
it's
make it
still,
better, just
yeah,
saying.
it's. I'm sure some more details will come out later in the week, maybe next week. But for right now, Wander Franco is not with the Rays, who are already slumping and without their Cy Young. I don't know. Maybe this team ends up making it. They'll make it as a wild card team, I would assume. But like, no McClanahan, no Franco. You've got Randy Arozarena and who else? Nobody. I can't think of anyone else.
San Diaz,
Who?
right? Their first baseman? You San Diaz?
Yandy?
Yandy Diaz, sorry.
Oh,
I'm
I was like,
thinking of the catcher from Colorado. That's what it
oh,
is.
that's Elias Diaz.
Either way,
Isan
Elias Diaz.
Diaz plays for the Tigers and hit their 40-day roster the other day. That's why I was confused when you said Isan. I was like, who? Why are you
Oh,
talking about the?
you know who Isan Diaz is? He was the former second baseman for the Marlins. That's why. And now he's
Yeah.
on Tampa. Now he plays for Detroit. I'm like, I know it's Diaz is the last name,
Yeah,
but
we're not good with names here. If you guys haven't picked up on
no,
that yet,
too many
not
sports to
big,
watch.
not big name guys.
But big name guy definitely has a lot more drama in the NBA. And we're not talking Dame Lillard. We're not talking LeBron, though it is a James. It's James Harden, who we thought 2 weeks ago was this was it. You know, he's not going to get traded. Then they're just going to come up to an agreement, play the rest of the season. He's at an event in China yesterday where he states in pure English twice, Daryl Morey is a liar. Daryl Morey is a liar because he opted into his contract, 1 year player option, and he wasn't traded to the Clippers, which is the whole reason he opted for that contract. I'm sure if he opted out, he would have signed with Houston to the Rockets. But of course, will the NBA come down on James Harden like they did with Damian Lillard, talking negatively about an executive, public about a trade? What do you make about James Harden, and do you feel like he is in the right or wrong for speaking his mind about what happened with his contract?
I mean, I feel like he should speak his mind no matter what. I don't really know what the fuck is going on in Philly. James Harden is he turning into like Kyrie at this point? Like,
I don't
I
know.
I don't know. He's becoming a distraction, I guess. He's probably not as productive as he was in his last, I don't know, 10 seasons. He's kind of taken a little. He's getting up there in age. I don't
Hmm.
know. I think he still ends up playing for him because in the NBA you can hold out, yeah, but if you miss 30 days in a row, like I heard Woj say, so I know it's true. If you hold out 30 days in a row, the team is able to just basically call this an X on the contract, missed year, and it just goes over into next year. So he's gonna have to play. You can't hold out with Philly. You can keep demanding trades all he wants, I guess, but if they're not gonna move him, he doesn't have the trade value, or I guess he does, but he wants to go to the Clippers. The Clippers don't have the trade assets to get him. I don't know. I think he's probably just gonna have to play it out in Philly and see what happens. I mean, it's not like Philly's a bad team either. Like they have I think Joel Embiid's overrated, but they have an MVP winner in Joel Embiid.
They do. You're right.
Um, bullshit MVP. I don't know. I think he's probably just gonna have to stick it out. I don't blame him for speaking his mind because I don't really know what exactly he's looking for. I guess a long term extension, but Also, I don't blame Philly for not wanting a long-term extension. He's like, what, 35?
No, James Harden's like 32.
He's
He's not
32?
that old.
I thought he was older than that. 33,
James
maybe?
Harden is 33. He's 33.
Okay.
He turns 34 like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so beginning of the season, he'll be 34 in a long-term extension. He's probably wanting like 3 or 4 years. Like, I don't
Yeah.
blame Philly for not wanting to pay him into his year 38 season. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, the exact quote was crazy. It was like, Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be part of an
Bro,
organization
is
that he's a
that
part
not
of.
screaming some fucking Kyrie? That is screaming Kyrie Irving.
Right. And I mean, like, he was with them in Houston. He was the one that who convinced them to come to Philly from Brooklyn, right? After the Brooklyn situation, I guess, didn't work out. Um, yeah. I don't know. There was a great tweet that I saw where it was like, with James Harden, you might not win a championship, but without him, you're definitely not winning a championship. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, James just needs to figure his shit out in Philly. We did have some news in football, of course, and that was Hard Knocks also began with the New
Oh,
York
it
Jets.
did.
I have not watched an episode yet because I've been way too busy this week on HBO. I'm sure it's not the same for you as last year when the Lions were on it, but do
Yeah.
you plan on checking out the episodes at all?
I already watched episode 1. I watched it last week. Comes out tomorrow night. It definitely did not feel the same as watching it last year with it being the Lions. It still was pretty good. I mean, it was a lot of Aaron Rodgers, obviously. It was a lot of Garrett
Yeah.
Wilson and a lot of Sauce Gardner. Um, I, Robert Saleh, I think, is going to be a pretty average coach. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire. He motivates his guys pretty well. He seems like a pretty down to earth guy. Can relate with the players. I just don't know how good of a coach he'll be. But I mean, you see it. You saw Aaron Rodgers mentoring Zach Wilson in it, so maybe that relationship is beneficial, and Zach Wilson can finally get a job in the NFL and not be dog shit. Jury's still
Yeah.
out on that because he's pretty dog shit. Um,
He's still pretty dog
Also,
shit.
speaking of, I guess, documentaries and stuff, you got to check out the Johnny Manziel documentary on Netflix. Oh
Yes.
my god, dude, that thing was crazy. I had Grace watching it, and she was like, "Wow, that was like interesting." And she hates sports, so
Yeah.
a lot of great documentaries coming out. There's another one that comes out tomorrow. I think it's Netflix's like Untold. It kind of goes into like this is like the third season. They do like 4 different episodes on 4 different things. Like they've done um like the Malice at the Palace was one episode. They've done
Yeah.
just stuff like that. So the next one that comes out is Swamp Kings, taking a look
Yes.
at
The
the
'08
Florida
Gators,
Gators, the
right?
'08 Gators with Tim Tebow, the most godly man we know, and
With
Aaron
Aaron Hernandez,
Hernandez.
Takeo Spikes, Channing Crowder, all the pretty much like.
What? Takio Spikes went to Auburn, buddy.
Oh, sorry, Channing Crowder, something else.
Who were
But still,
who were the two brothers, the Pouncey brothers?
Bounty Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. So
It'll
that's
be
gonna be
interesting to
great.
see.
Yeah, with
Wasn't
Urban
Cam
Meyer
Newton
as the
there?
coach.
Was Cam Newton there that year? Right? '08?
He
Or was
was.
it
Yeah, he was. He was
he was he
08.
was there.
He was there in '08, but then he went to JUCO 2009 and then Auburn 2010. So yeah, he was there.
Yeah. So you're gonna see Cam Newton on that
That
too.
episode's gonna be fucking crazy. I'm excited. And then there's another one coming out about steroids, so I think that'll be a good one too. There's a lot of
Wasn't
great
there
sports documentaries.
wasn't there one about Manti Te'o and his girlfriend and like the
Hmm
whole story? Didn't that come out too?
Yeah, that one was in like the last season. That was a great episode too. So
Yeah.
if you're into sports docs, into current events that I guess have happened throughout our lives, Untold does a great job of breaking them all down. Check it out on Netflix. Yeah, HBO Hard Knocks obviously going to be great. I'm interested to see who they do for the in-season Hard Knocks because like
Yeah.
I fuck with the Lions being it. I think that'd be
Hmm.
great. They're gonna have a good. I'm not saying it. Never mind. Move on. I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's okay.
I'm not gonna jinx it. No.
I also think that the quarterback show, which I think we spoke about last time, with like
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, Pat Mahomes, and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
That. I want to take a look at that now. And they also have Joe Burrow signed up to be on it. Tua Tagovailoa denied it because it brought too much attention on his personal life, which he doesn't really deal with that much. I forget who else denied it recently. I don't know if it was Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson said that they didn't want to do it
Lamar
for this upcoming
Jackson said he
season,
wouldn't do it. Justin Herbert said he would, but he hasn't been
but he hasn't
pushed to
confirmed
it.
too.
I think
Yeah,
the formula they have to do is so last year they had Patrick Mahomes, obviously star quarterbacks left in the league. You're gonna have to have a superstar. I think Joe Burrow is probably like a really good one. They had Kirk Cousins. I think a Kirk Cousins would be like a Jared Goff would be a great one for this kind of just like an underappreciated, above average quarterback.
Yeah.
I think Derek Carr fits that too. I think that would be a good one. And then
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Mariota, the kind of journeyman quarterback. You telling me you don't want to see Teddy Bridgewater on that? I want Teddy Bridgewater's story.
You know what would even be better? I would love to see Sam Howell, the Washington quarterback. Nobody knows
God.
about him, or put a rookie, put Anthony Richardson, put Bryce Young on there. Get the popularity up. I'm
God,
sure
dude. They're gonna be
that
under
would be
so
really
much pressure to
good.
put on a rookie, though.
I know, but like that would be. It's not about showing whether the quarterbacks are good or not. It's just like what they go through on a day-to-day basis. Like Mahomes' injury that they saw in the playoffs, right, with the rib, I think it was
Yeah.
when he landed on it. Like they showed all the Marcus Mariota's like struggles like throughout the season, and they showed Kirk Cousins like just trying to lead his team, like all the like the toll that the season took on him essentially. I don't know. I think it'd be good to have some younger person on there. But I'm excited for that show coming on next season.
I feel like Ryan Tannehill would be a good one because you're mentoring two young quarterbacks and you're kind of on your way out too. I feel like he kind of is that Marcus Mariota role. It's like if you
And he was
roll
already on
out,
Hard Knocks, so
yeah, if you roll out next year's season 2 with Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Ryan Tannehill, I feel like that's a perfect lineup.
yeah. We do have more of the NFL to talk about, and that is our next division preview. And we go out west to where we were last year, again, when we started this podcast in the AFC West. And we're going straight to LA. We'll cover both LA teams. We're going to start with the Chargers, the LA Chargers. I mean, they, of course, have Justin Herbert. Austin Eckler's now resolved his contract spat. They always have Keenan Allen, almost said Darwin James. It's Derwin James on defense. They drafted Quentin Johnston, Tui Tuipulotu. No, Tui Tuipulotu. And
Tui Pulotu.
there you go.
Yes.
And they signed Eric. There you go. And they signed Eric Kendricks. They also got rid of their offensive coordinator and signed Kellen Moore from Dallas. Anything big with LA? Do you think they have a better year than anyone else in the division outside of the Chiefs? Do they make the playoffs is the biggest thing.
I mean, they'll probably make the playoffs. I think Quentin Johnston is going to be a really good player. Their wide receiver core is solid. Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, getting up there in age, but still quietly elite. And then Quentin Johnston. Their schedule is a little – it's a roller coaster. I mean, you start out hosting Miami, who you beat them last year. Wait, that's weird. Why do they get to host Miami back-to-back years?
Because they play who is in their division, like who's matched up division-wise. So the Dolphins finished second, the Chargers finished second. And because we're playing the Chiefs in Germany, I think that they needed the other AFC West game to be in LA, something like that.
That's dumb. But you get the Dolphins week 1, which is not an easy win. With a healthy Tua and a healthy Dolphins elite. Then you go at Tennessee, at Minnesota. You probably drop one of those. You're home against the Raiders. I think you're 2-2 in the first 2 weeks. Then you get the Cowboys, the Chiefs. You probably win 1-1. You're 3-3. You get the Bears and the Jets and the Lions. I think you win one of those. I think you beat the Bears, lose to the Jets, and then you lose to the Lions. I mean, you get at Packers, win. You lose to the Ravens, so what? You're at 5 wins, 6 against the Patriots, 7 against the Broncos, 8 against the Raiders, and then their last 3, I think they lose. Bills at Broncos and then against the Chiefs. I think they win 8 games. Call me crazy.
They have a tough schedule. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Their only home games that are gimme is Chicago and maybe the Raiders. But the Raiders travel well. Like, I mean, everyone travels well. It's the Chargers, right? They don't fill up their home stadium at all.
No, dude.
But they went 10. They went 10-7 last year. But their teams they're playing against are good. They're not a bad team. Don't get me wrong. They're not a bad team. I just don't see like them. They should have beat Jacksonville last year. I'm sorry. The fact that they gave up, what was it, 27-0, 24-0 lead at halftime, or just before halftime against Jacksonville.
That was bad.
They should have won that game. The running's on the wall for Bruce Staley is their head coach.
Brandon Staley.
Brandon Staley. So I agree. I think 9-8 or 10-7 again is probably what this team does, unless they just absolutely outscore the other team and just take another leap on offense, kill them more.
Which they definitely could. I mean, you still have Austin Eckler, who top 5 running back. You have Keenan Allen, who's top 10, 15 wide receiver, and then Herbert, who I think is a top 7 quarterback. But can you put it all together? Can the defense hang with a really tough schedule? Like even their road games, like you're going to New England. I count
Yeah.
that as a win. Like you could absolutely lose at New England in December, an LA team going to New England. Losing, you could absolutely lose at the Packers. That's a November game. That's going to be cold. I mean, at the Raiders, I don't know, Vegas, it's a night game. Maybe you lose that one. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not a huge believer in the Chargers. They won 10 last year, but their point differential was only like +7. So they were a pretty bang on average team. I think everyone in the division got better. I guess sans Vegas. Vegas is kind of just shit, but I think 8 or 9 wins is probably where this team at. I think Brandon Staley is one of the coaches. I think he will be fired at the end of the year. If not
Yeah.
before, if they're out of it, if they're at like 6 or 7 wins heading into week like 15, I think he's fired. I'm trying to pull up the over under on their wins for this year, but it's not letting me.
Yeah. I think this team's gonna be average. Like I like them to put up a lot of points, but I don't know if that defense like it's a good, but it's just the opponents they're playing are good. Like I mean they got Khalil Mack, they got Nick Bosa, don't get me wrong, but or Joey Bosa. But that's what I'm saying. This team I don't know. I think if they rise to the occasion, they could win 12 games and surprise me, but I don't see them hosting a playoff game at
No,
all.
I don't. I don't think so either.
Well,
Hold on,
stay in the same.
I need you to. I
Yeah.
need you to take a break real quick. I have to go run to the restroom.
Okay.
So you cover
Go.
the next one on yourself. I'll be.
And the next team we'll talk about in the AFC West is staying in the same state, and that is the LA Rams. Of course, they share the same stadium at SoFi. In the NFC, I mean, we know about this team. They won the Super Bowl 2 years ago and kind of went all in and kind of
Oh,
just tanked.
we're just jumping to the NFC now, huh?
Just
Okay.
tanked. Yeah, I
Hold
mean,
on.
we got the same team. Why not talk about the same team?
I
That's
got to
all.
pull. I had all the AFC stuff up. I gotta
Ah,
pull up the AFC
gotta
stuff now.
gotta switch it up on you.
Also, I
I
was
mean,
looking. Hold on. I still have to find the over under on. See how close we were. The Chargers over under was 9.5. I think the under is pretty fair.
yeah,
All right, we can go move
but
on.
but the Rams. I mean, they got rid of Jalen Ramsey. They lost Odell Beckham, of course, who wasn't really with any team anyways last year. They had 14 draft picks, which was insane outside of round one. They had 14 draft picks. They got much younger, which they needed for this team. Still got, of course, Cooper Kupp. Still got Cam Akers. Still got some quarterback from Detroit, Michael Stafford, Matthew Stafford, something like that.
Mitchell Stafford.
Mitchell. Aaron Donald, the best player in football outside of Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this Rams team, they could surprisingly win 9 games, but I think 6 is probably their ceiling.
Yo, bro, you are on crack if you think this team is winning 9 games.
I don't know. Like, I think, I mean,
Dude, look at their
they have,
schedule.
yeah, but they have talent. Like Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, like with Cam Akers, I feel like they could actually do something on offense. It's just on defense if they're going to create, if they're going to cater without Jalen Ramsey.
I mean, Cooper Kupp's already out for week 1, so that's an L. Like, who
Yeah.
else is Matthew Stafford? Matthew Stafford's in his mid to late 30s.
Yep.
There's no other weapons on the offense other than Cooper Kupp. I mean, yeah,
What
they
you
have a
mean?
ton
Van
of,
Jefferson, Tyler Johnson, man.
my bad.
Demarcus Robinson, what you talking about?
My bad. Yeah, this team is not winning more than like 4 games. There's no Cooper Kupp. So week 1 at Seahawks, that's an L. Week 2 against the 49ers, that's an L. Then they go to Cincinnati on Monday night. Is ESPN Monday Night Football?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Monday Night Football. That's an L. They go at the Colts. I think that's an L.
I guess the Colts.
Yeah,
Well, Aaron Donald's going to eat Anthony Richardson for breakfast.
Anthony Richardson's going to take advantage of a shit defense.
Mhm.
Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, yeah, is elite, but like he's not. He's the only good player. You got the Eagles. You're hosting them. That's still an L. I think they start the season 0-5. They finally get to play the Cardinals, who are going to be even worse. That's going to be a game. That's a Thursday night game that no one wants to. It's not actually Thursday night, but that needs to be a Thursday night game that no one wants to watch.
Yeah.
That's going to be a shit show. They probably win that. There's one. Then you host the Steelers. That's an L. You're at Dallas. That's an L. You're at Green Bay. We'll see where Green Bay's at. Maybe that's a surprise win. You get the Seahawks. Maybe you win that. There's three maybe wins. You go to Arizona. I think they probably split it with Arizona. Browns, Ravens. They beat the Commanders, I think. This team wins 4 to 5 games next year.
I'm gonna say 6. I'm more optimistic. I'm gonna say 6 wins. It's not good enough to make the playoffs, but like, I don't know. I think 6 wins. Like if Cam Akers really does the last 3 games of the season, 4 games of the season, and that's like his actual production, which everyone thought he'd have earlier in the season, maybe they do more. But I'm gonna stay 6.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the season, you're getting the Saints, Giants, and Niners, who are all going to be fighting either for the playoffs or playoff seeding. So I think the only wins that you can pencil in is probably like one Cardinals game and maybe the Commanders. The over-under on this team is 6.5, which I think is crazy. I don't think
I said 6. I said 6.
There's not enough talent on this team to win 6 games. I mean, unless
Ben Skowronek, what are you talking about?
Okay. Stetson Bennett comes in halfway through the season after Stafford gets benched and wins all the games. They go on. They make the playoffs as a wild card team, and they win the Super Bowl. Yeah, this team is going to be bad. They're probably a bottom 5 to 10 team in the league easily. But
we'll stay
Stafford,
there.
I love him.
We'll stay down the cellar. We'll stay there. We'll stay in the NFC West this time. The Arizona, your hometown team, well, currently hometown.
I don't support
Arizona Cardinals.
No, sir. I am not a Cardinals fan, and I will not have that on their record.
Kyler Murray, of course, is going to be out for most of the season, if not all. So they're rocking with Colt McCoy at quarterback. They couldn't do any better than Colt McCoy. They had a good draft, I will say. They traded from 3 down to 12. They got number 33. They got Houston's first and second rounder in the process. They traded 12 and 33 back up to 6 to get Paris Johnson. They got B.J. Ojolari in this round, too. This team's going to be the worst team in football. This team's going to be the worst team in football. 2 wins is what I think this team's over-under should be. If they get 4, I'll applaud them. But there's even a clip of them in practice where just everything went wrong.
They had no idea what was going on.
They actually got a delay game penalty. The snap hit. The D-line just smoked through the offensive line, didn't tackle him because of practice. And then he threw the ball and it hit the receiver's back. The receiver wasn't even looking. It's one of the worst teams in football. They have a new coach now. Props to Cliff Kingsbury for leaving when before they got super shit. The Cardinals are gonna be worse team in football. Guarantee. Whatever team that they are against in fantasy will be the number 1 defense streaming that week.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon absolutely could be a one and done coach in the league this year. I'm looking at the schedule. It's not even bad. It's not a bad schedule at all. They're just so bad. I mean, they start out at Washington and then hosting New York. For any other team, you're blessing that. They're probably 0-2. Kyler Murray's, we don't know where his health is going to be, if he's going to be 100%. Going back to my hot take, James Conner will still be a top 5 fantasy running back this year. You can put that one on the board. I still think he's going to do really well. But I mean, when you're playing the Giants, the Commanders, you get the Rams twice, you get the Seahawks twice, you get the Falcons, the Texans, the Bears. You're like, oh, okay, they could probably win 5 or 6 of these games. I think they win 2. I would not be shocked if they only win 1 game, especially if Kyler Murray's not healthy and playing. I don't even think there's an over-under on them. Oh, there is. It's 4.5. That's crazy. I'm taking under. They're not winning 5 games this year. I'm not surprised if they win 2 games this year. They are that bad.
And their uniforms match them because they announced new uniforms and for the preseason.
They're terrible.
And it is awful. Somebody compared it to a red Snuggie, and I kind of agree with them. They're or a ketchup bottle. I mean, their helmet's cool. The helmet's nice, but I mean, their uniforms are just awful. Some people say they wear pajamas on the team store. I agree with you. I mean, I got the Cardinals going to be one of the worst teams in football, so I'm not surprised.
All right, so if the Cardinals are the worst team, they're going to get the number 1 pick. Do you take Caleb Williams and replace Kyler Murray in this is year 3 for Kyler?
Yeah, you do it immediately. Yeah, you do it immediately. Caleb Williams is going to be a Heisman favorite. He has a higher ranking than Tua Tagovailoa did when he came out of college and Justin Herbert did when he came out. You don't waste the number 1 pick unless it's a generational talent, which I don't know if anyone's going to be higher than Caleb Williams. You get value for Kyler Murray. You trade him to New England probably. And
God, no, please. Please
I'm just
no.
saying that's just one team off the top of my head that will need them. And you already have the Houston first round pick. So even if they don't get the number one pick, they have the Houston first rounder, which will probably be top 10 to package to get them. So yeah, I take Caleb Williams in a heartbeat. Kyler Murray, I love him. He's very fun to play with in Madden. He's too small. He has a major injury now. Hasn't had any success in the regular season. He's put up good stats, but yeah, you're taking Caleb Williams in a heartbeat.
What if okay, so let's say they're still like a really bad team. Their defense is terrible, but Kyler Murray throws for like 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and like is in the MVP voting.
He tore his ACL last season. He's not going to play
Wow,
until November.
you never. Oh shit, I guess he's. Well, there's no timetable, so I mean he could come back if he misses 4 games, comes back and throws for like 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, and this offense is like dynamic. It's not going to be. I'm just saying hypothetically, if it is, do you take him
Nah.
then? Do you take Caleb Williams? You still replace Kyler Murray with Caleb Williams if he comes back from injury and has an elite season?
Yeah, because they're paying him $39 million this season. They're paying him $35 million next season. The rest of his contract after then isn't that crazy to trade him or to cut him off the team. So I think they do. They move off like unless he absolutely comes back early and plays like a man on a mission, like we just said. Nah, they're moving on. They're moving on.
Fair enough.
We'll stay in the NFC West. We go on to one of my sleeper teams. That's the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, they've re-signed Bobby Wagner. Geno Smith re-signed him. They drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba, Devon Witherspoon, Derek Hall, Auburn legend,
Yes, sir.
and Zach Charbonnet at running back. I'm not going to lie. I think the Seahawks get 11 wins. I think the Seahawks sneak into the playoffs. That's what they did last year. They put up a fight against the 49ers in the first round until the second half of the football game started. I like Seattle. I don't like them enough to pick them up with the 49ers, but I like Seattle. I think they have a great season. I think 11 wins to me. The over-under is probably 10 or maybe 9.5, but I like Seattle this season. I really do. And like their schedule is very similar to the Cardinals, so I think they're going to have a good year.
Yeah, I think Seattle had like one of the best 4 runs in the draft, like best 4 straight picks to start it out with Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Derek Hall, and Zach Charbonnet. I think that top 4 is elite. Got all 4 within the first like 50 picks. So
Mm.
I'm pretty big on Seattle this year. You're getting DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. That's probably one of the best trios in the league, outside of maybe Cincy. But I think even they could even probably compete with Cincy. Um, the Zach Charbonnet pick I think is a little weird because you had Kenneth Walker, but now you have a solid 1-2 punch running back. I don't know who their tight end is. Tight ends are kind of obsolete, it seems like, anyway, unless you have a top 3. The only question is going to be Geno Smith. He had a great year last year. Does he replicate it? And
Hmm.
I don't know if he can live up to what he did last year. Geno Smith has been an up and down player his whole career. Maybe he's found something in Seattle with Pete Carroll. I'm not I'm not sold. I'm not buying it. I'm just not currently sold. I want to see what they do their first 5 games. Their first 5 games are going to tell me a lot because they're going to get the Rams to start it off. That's a win. They go to Detroit in a grudge match from last year, which was like a 45-42 game. I think it was the highest scoring game of the year. You go to Detroit, who is hungry, predicted to win the NFC North, and they have the most bets to make the Super Bowl out of the NFC. People are on the Lions Kool-Aid, and I'm all for it. That's going to be a tough game. Then you go back, you host Carolina. That's probably a win. You go to New York, the Giants, on Monday night. That's a toss-up, I think. And then to top it off, Week 5, you go to Cincinnati. I think if they go 4-1, and I think they could definitely go 4-1 in that stretch. They are to not be fucked with, because after that you get the Cardinals, the Browns, who I think are average. The Ravens you'll lose to, but you get Commanders, the Rams again, um, and then their last 3 games are at Tennessee, home against Pittsburgh, who might be out of the playoff race, and at Arizona. So I think 10 wins is probably fair. The middle of their
Hmm.
schedule is rough because it goes San Francisco at Dallas, at San Francisco, and home against Philly. They probably only win one of those, but I feel like 10 is definitely on the table for them. I'm going to take Seattle 10 wins. Um, they'll make it as a wild card team, I think, for sure.
Yeah. And I think having like the fact that they played a lot of their tough games at home is a beneficiary. Like, I mean, if you count the Lions game on the road as a tough game,
Yeah.
which I mean, it'll be sold out. But like they play the Eagles at home, they play the Niners at home, of course, the division split. I mean, they play the Steelers at home at the end of the season. They're going to win a decent amount of games. And again, it's like you said, can Geno Smith replicate his success? Can Noah Fant is their tight end? That's who you're thinking
Oh
of.
shit, I forgot about
Can he
that.
offer production? I think they're going to run three wide anyways. They're going to run
Yeah,
three wide anyways.
oh, they're
With
just gonna
with
run streaks, dude. They're just gonna run straight down the field, and they're gonna throw it up 40-yard passes every time, and no one's covering them.
no, they have Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba are going to be route running the hell out of people, and then DK Metcalf is just going
DK
to be going
Metcalf will
deep.
just
Honestly,
be, yeah, it's over. That offense
yeah,
is elite. Their over unders 9.5. I'm at 10. You're at 11.
yeah.
We're there. That's pretty good. I think they make the playoffs.
The most elite question mark in the football also resides in the NFC West. The last team we talk about is the 49ers in San Francisco. I mean, they added Javon Hargrave, they added Sam Darnold. Their draft class was mainly a kicker who missed his first field goal. They're the preseason, a 40-yarder, Jake Moody.
We don't talk about it. He was drafted in the third round out of Michigan. He missed two
Yep,
kicks
third round.
yesterday, actually. So,
Oh, I thought he just missed one.
yeah, no, people are already mad. So that just proves that you should not draft a kicker. Teams have not learned this.
Yeah, Roberto
Just don't.
Aguayo, anyone in the second round for Tampa? I mean, the Niners, they have one of the best cores in football, if not the best. I mean, at every position, O-line, D-line, linebacker, tight end, wide receiver, running back, just quarterback. The biggest position is the most important in football. I mean, Trey Lance and Sam Darnold kind of had equal games for them, battling for the quarterback two spot. Brock Purdy's pretty much been handed the quarterback one spot. If anything happens, he gets hurt, or if he just struggles, maybe it'll be one of Trey Lance and Sam Darnold behind the QB. They proved last year they can win with Brock Purdy. It doesn't matter. They don't need a number 3 overall pick. They don't need Jimmy G, who was there forever. Does Jimmy G leaving and does the Brock Purdy success continue? The biggest question mark. I'm going to put the Niners at 12 wins. I think they're going to be a good team, but I think not having an elite quarterback will hinder them from winning it all this season. I think they're, again, Christian McCaffrey's going to go insane with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. But I'm going to say 12 wins.
I think that's fair. One win less than last year. The defense is still going to be great. The question is definitely going to be on the offense and whoever is quarterbacking the team. Their schedule obviously is pretty much the same as everyone else's in the division. They go to Jacksonville, which is different. That's tough. They go to Philly. Let's see what other tough game. Other than that, their schedule is not terrible. They host Cincy. They go to Minnesota. It's not bad. I think 12 wins is fair. I think they still get to 13. The only teams I see them losing, like even close to losing to, I think that Cincy game's going to be tough. I think at Jacksonville is tough, and I think at Philly is tough. Other than that, I could see them winning every other game. So maybe you drop one or two more that gets you 12 to 13. I'll take them to get 13 again. Depending on that's the thing is that you don't even need an elite quarterback for this team. You've got Debo who can just do whatever he wants when he has the ball. You have Christian McCaffrey who can run, catch, block. Number one in the fantasy football drafts. Probably not in our league because our league is dumb. But Brandon Ayuk, great. I think it's a great team. I don't think you need an elite top 5 quarterback to make this team go. And we saw it last year. Brock Purdy took them to the NFC Championship. So I'll take 13. I think people are probably going to be a little bit down on them this year, but I think Seattle got better. But other than that, the rest of the division is terrible. 13 wins for the San Francisco 49ers, whose over-under is 10.5.
I would take the over.
That's crazy. 10.5 is insane. I don't think they're losing 6 games. That'd be 7 games, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, 6. 11 and 6.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they're losing 6 games this year. I'd be shocked if they lost like 5. I think this is a pretty damn good team that probably makes it to like the NFC Championship again, but loses.
Yeah. We'll bounce back to the AFC West for the team that Jimmy G was now joining, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, they signed Josh Jacobs to the franchise tag. I don't even know if he's reported yet to the Raiders for preseason work. They have Jacoby Myers from the Patriots, of course, Jimmy G, Austin Hooper at tight end. They actually had a good draft. I mean, the Raiders' last draft picks have been awful, mainly being felons. With Henry Ruggs scheduled
Henry
for
Ruggs,
was it
yeah,
3 to 10 years?
3 to 10 years in jail.
Yeah. But they drafted Tyree Wilson. They drafted Michael Meyer, the tight end from Notre Dame. So, I mean, that's a decent draft class. They lost Denzel Perriman. Of course, they released Derek Carr. They traded Darren Waller. Foster Moreau is gone. So, the entire tight end room is new. Matt Collins, Dolphins legend, is no longer on the team. He signed up Atlanta. Rocky Sin is no longer there. I mean, this Raiders team, besides Devontae Adams, is just not going to be that fun to watch this season. Jimmy G is going to be doing 8-yard checkdowns the entire time. I think 7 wins is probably the limit I'd give for the Raiders, but I think 7 is just a good number for them. So I think 7-10 is a decent figure for this team.
Yeah, their schedule sucks too. It is not good. They start at Denver week 1. Toss up, I guess. I don't know how. We'll talk about Denver in a minute. I don't know how sold I am on this team yet, but you got to think some sort of progression is coming. They can't be that bad again. And then after that, you go to Buffalo in week 2. So that's an L. You host Pittsburgh on Sunday Night Football. It's Pittsburgh in prime time. I'm not betting against them. Then you go to the Chargers. There's probably another L. You host Green Bay and New England, who two pretty good teams usually, but are not going to be great this year. But it's still 2 high-level teams that usually don't give up. Especially Bill Belichick teams are tough to play against.
We saw what happened when they played last year.
That was fucking terrible. I mean, and then you go at Chicago, at Detroit. You're probably winning one of those, and it's not Detroit. Their last like 7 games is at Miami, home against the Chiefs, home against the Vikings, home against the Chargers, at the Chiefs, at the Colts, and then home against the Broncos. This team is winning like 5 or 6 games this year. Jimmy G is one of the most overrated quarterbacks quite possibly ever. I just because he played for New England, everyone thought, "Oh my God, he's so good."
He's just handsome. That's what it is. He's just a handsome man.
He's hot take. He's not even that good looking. He's not. So I think this is a team. Josh Jacobs just doesn't give a shit. I don't know if he's going to report or if he's going to play, sit out, whatever. If he does play, I don't think it's really going to change much. This team is devoid of talent still. I'll take them 6 wins, but they're not winning more than that. Let's see what we got on the.
I'm gonna say 6.5 is probably the over under.
It's probably right around there. Let's see, Las Vegas.
That's why I said 7, man. I think 7 wins. I think Hunter Renfrow is gonna have a ton of fantasy value.
It's 6.5, so
yeah.
I'm on the under. You're on the over. That's probably the closest one we've been so far.
Yeah. The other team with big question marks in the AFC West, of course, is the Kansas City Chiefs. No, I'm just playing. No, no, it's Denver Broncos. I mean, they have a new head coach, Sean Payton, who they acquired from the Saints because they need to trade for him, even though he hadn't coached in a couple years. Yeah. Mike McGlinchey joins from the Chargers. That's a good signing, I think, or from the 49ers, should I say? So, Ben Powers at guard, Kyle Fuller at safety. They lost Dalton Reisner. Finally gave up on his potential at guard. Their main move was drafting Marvin Mims, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, in the 2nd round, because they had to give up their pick to the Seahawks, who used it on Devon Witherspoon. Great move. It just depends on can Russ cook? Can Russ cook? Can this team with Russell Wilson at quarterback, he's only 2 years removed from being an amazing top 5 level quarterback, and he got to Denver to absolutely shat the bed last year. Was that just Nathaniel Hackett being an awful coach? Probably. I mean, they also have questions at running back with Javonte Williams coming back from major injury. They signed Samaje Perine to be the backup in case he gets hurt. They have weapons. They have good talent. Home field advantage is always big in Denver. I'm going same as the Raiders. I'm going 7-10. I don't think this team is bad enough to be one of the worst 5 teams in football again like they were last year, but I still don't think they're breaking near the wild card spot. They might be in it until the end, like the last 5 weeks, but yeah, 7-10 because their schedule early on is easy. It's just late that it gets hard.
Yeah, their schedule is easy, starting with home games against Vegas and Washington. Going to Miami, they're not winning that, but I don't know. I want to be a Russ truther. I want to say that they're going to be good this year, and that last year was just a crazy fluke with a really bad coach, and now they're getting Sean Payton, who is proved to be a really good coach. But the preseason game did not go according to plan. They didn't score for the first. They had their first team offense out there for a quarter and a half, and finally scored halfway through the second against Arizona's backup second string team, who is probably a third string team anywhere else.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not completely sold on them yet. Um, I don't know. They have the weapons. Jerry Judy's good. Sure. Is Javonte Williams coming back anytime soon? I actually haven't heard anything on him.
He is. He is practicing.
Is he practicing? Yeah. Okay. I mean, maybe they figure something out. I think 7 is a little generous. I'm not gonna lie. I think 5 or 6 is probably where Denver stays. I don't know. Sean Payton could definitely get him up to like 8 or 9 wins, and Russell West. I almost said Russell Westbrook. Russell Wilson has the talent to also get them to 8 or 9 wins, but like last year put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, they're great. They're gonna have a comeback year. They'll be in between like the 5 and 8 win range. I think this is not a team making the playoffs. Broncos country is going to want to die again because it is. I think it's going to be another long year in Denver.
What's crazy is this was the worst team on the road in the NFL last season because they had an extra road game and they lost it. They were 1-8. Like only the Falcons, Bears, and Rams won only one game away from home. They went 4-4 at home, so Denver's home field advantage still works. Again, I don't know if they're going to be great, but I don't think they're going to be bad enough to have like a top 5 pick. It kind of seems like a lot of teams are on that boat. Somebody's going to suck. One team that's not going to suck is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they lost Orlando Brown, they lost Juju, they lost Michael Hardman, they lost Frank Clark. It doesn't matter. They have Kermit at quarterback. That's all they need. Kelsey's getting up there in age at tight end, still productive at 33. I mean, was far and away the best tight end last season in football. They signed Juwan Taylor from Jacksonville, which is a great move in my eyes because they get younger at tackle. And they drafted some Kansas State edge and a wide receiver whose last name from Rice. It's the Chiefs. I mean, they're defending champions. They won 5 straight in the year. They went 14-3. If the Chiefs don't make it to the AFC Championship game, it's a surprise for everybody involved. I think 13-4 is fair. I think they lose a random one to somebody in the division, probably the Raiders, if I'm going to be honest. They had a great game against the Broncos last year, which the Broncos just gave up. We saw it on the Jumbotron while we were in LA waiting for the Dolphins game to kick off. Yeah, we were like, what? The Broncos are winning against Kansas City? And then they came back. Yeah, I'm going to say 13 wins. I think the Chiefs are likely Super Bowl favorites. They're not my Super Bowl favorite, but I think the Chiefs make it at least to the conference championship game or host a divisional round game at the very minimum.
Yeah, I mean, their schedule is not easy this year. I mean, they start the year, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, against a
you putting money on it? You putting money on it?
I might. Not yet. I haven't talked myself into it yet. But they start out with a tough Lions team that, yeah, you get it at home, but it's Detroit, who's I already said is going to go undefeated this season. So I think they'll beat Detroit, but I think that's going to be a good test to see where this team stands going into the season against an up-and-coming team with a lot to prove. We're going to see. Does Kansas City get up for this game? If they don't get up for it, I think the Lions roll into Arrowhead and win. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to let that happen. They probably start the season with a dub. They have to play at Jacksonville. They have to play at the Jets, at Minnesota. They host. No, they don't host. I guess it's in Germany.
It's in Germany.
In Germany against the Dolphins. And then right after that, you go host the Eagles. You host the Bills, and you host the Bengals. So, I mean, all of your games, tough games, are at home.
At home, except for the Jets, yeah.
Except for the Jets and the Jags. But, I mean, still, like, they're hosting Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Detroit. And then, I guess, technically, the Dolphins is a home game. That's not really going to count. And the Eagles. They're probably going to lose 1 or 2 of those games. But other than that, I mean, this is a 3-loss team. They're winning 14 again, and they're going to win these. They're probably going to win the fucking Super Bowl again, for being honest.
Yeah. No, for sure. And tell me why week 2 of the NFL is Chiefs-Jaguars, and yet the Dolphins and Patriots are their Sunday night football game. Well, I'm glad the Dolphins on Sunday night football, but the Chiefs-Jags should be primetime television.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not.
The over-under is 11.5, so I'm assuming a lot of people are taking schedule into account, but I mean, the Eagles is a tough game. That's a Monday Night Football game at home. I think they probably drop one of either the Bills or the Bengals just because it's late season. We'll see. And then maybe a game like the Chargers. But other than that, I see 3-4 losses. So I think 11.5 is definitely undervaluing this team that just won a Super Bowl and didn't lose any key parts of the team.
Yeah, no, that under should be higher. Because again, it's the Chiefs. Like as long as Kermit is healthy, he even showed in the AFC Championship game that when he wasn't healthy, he was able to lead them over the Bengals. So yeah, I mean the Chiefs are gonna be the best team.
Yeah, that's got to be like the lock of the season is Chiefs over 11.5. Like,
and then they win 11 games, and you have heartbreak. But I don't know how they don't win 12. Like, come on.
I don't know. They definitely should win over 11 games.
Yeah. I think we for sure have forgotten things in the last 2 weeks. But and for the sake of time and not boring you with every minute little detail that happened in sports last 2 weeks, we'll probably call it there. Any last remaining thoughts, comments, concerns, and questions of the days, perhaps?
Oh, well, I was going to say, did you watch the Orioles-Mariners game last night? Because I wanted to bring that up while we were talking baseball. Had to be the craziest single-person performance ever to win a game.
Cedric Mullins?
Cedric Mullins went crazy yesterday, robbing, was it Julio he robbed of a home run? I think it was. Yeah. Ended up hitting the game-winning home run a few innings later. Shout out Cedric Mullins for, probably the greatest day of his life. But I do have, in fact, a question of the day. Alex.
Yes.
What is the best announcer call that you've ever heard? It can be any sport, any
moment
season,
announcing-wise?
Yep, any moment announcing-wise. What is the best call you've heard?
So this is very tough because, as I'm sure you have, I have watched videos on YouTube that says, the best highlights, best sports moments, right? The best calls. And there are some calls that just give you goosebumps every time you hear it, right? That you're like, wow, this is such an insane moment, right? I know for you, I have an idea of what it's going to be.
Oh, you already know exactly what it is.
I already know what it's going to be. I think for me, the one that gives me the most goosebumps is honestly the rebound to Bosch, back out to Allen, his three-pointer, bang.
Mike
just because Mike Breen is amazing. Shout out to him actually staying on at ESPN and being recorded. But I love that call. But I think the best call of all time is David Freese' home run, Game 6 of the World Series in St. Louis. It was Joe Buck, even though as terrible as he is as the commentator, he honored his dad, saying, "We will see you tomorrow night," and just lets the crowd go insane. That to me, and the triple, of course, he in the 9th inning with one strike away from losing the World Series. That to me is the best call of all time. Yeah, and it sucks. I don't even like Joe Buck, but I know yours is up there. Your call is up there. I already know what it is.
I feel like this has to be the greatest call of all time. Do you believe in miracles? Obviously, that's up there. I think that's top 3. I think Joe Buck's is top 3. Number 1 has to be Rod Bramblett. The kick 6.
Yep.
You're not going to keep him off the field tonight. It has to be, knowing everything that transpired that night. Rest in peace, Rod Bramblett. Lost a legend. But it has to be the kick 6 call. I don't know what else it could be. Maybe that's just my bias, but
Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win. Yeah, that call is legendary.
Every time it comes up on my TikTok, I have to watch it. I watch it every year 10 times before the season starts. Got to get myself hyped. That call is legendary. I think it's the top call of all time. And even the 2 games before that, when he called the Georgia game, it wasn't him. It was Vern Lundquist who called it. The "Let's It Go," and then mayhem ensues. Auburn has been great call city over here. Gotta say it. There's been 3 great calls that I can think off the top of my head, but the legend gets it for me.
And there's so many. The band is out on the field. Some historic ones the Giants win the pennant was a classic. There's a lot. There's a lot of them. Especially the roar of Tiger. Just not even the call, just the Masters. Just Tiger Woods. Just that moment that he had with the red jacket, that little thing, but it has to be we will see you tomorrow night with Joe Buck. I mean, at least for me.
Fair enough. It's
But
probably a top 3, but not number 1.
yeah, no, they're gonna keep. I mean, even I think the most recent one is the Villanova championship. I think.
Oh, against UNC.
Yeah, Jenkins for the
Yeah,
championship, and then he banked it in. Like
yeah.
it's just so crazy. But I think that is
Blocked
it.
by James is up there too. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Blocked by James is there.
or shot by Curry, the regular season game where Curry pulls up from like half court against the Thunder and makes it. Like that calls off. Like I remember watching that at the bowling alley, and I was like, I wasn't even paying attention to the game. I just heard that, and I was like, what just happened? Like I just had to tune in.
I think basketball calls in general are just more exciting. Maybe it's just Mike Breen. That's probably what
Yeah,
it
that is true. It was Mike Breen. It
Mike
was
Breen
Mike
is just the
Breen.
GOAT, so maybe that's why. But Mike Breen,
We got to make our broadcaster Hall of Fame. That's what we got to
broadcaster
do.
Hall of Fame power ranking.
Yeah, tier list.
Tier list, yeah. Dog shit. Joe Buck when it's not baseball.
Robert Griffin the third. Put that man down. I love him, but put him down. No, you know who it is?
Who else is
It's the guy from ESPN that used to be on Sunday Night Football for a couple seasons.
Booger
You-
McFarland.
Booger McFarland. Put that
Oh
shit
my
in.
God.
Put him in the Z
Kendrick-
tier, man.
Him and Kendrick Perkins be hanging out in the
Oh
bottom.
my god. But Kendrick Perkins doesn't at least call games.
Yeah.
Booger was.
The Booger Mobile or whatever that it was that it took him like.
Yeah, oh my god. Yeah,
That shit
yeah,
was
yeah.
awful.
Man was too big to walk. I think that's it for us. I do not have questions of the day. I did not think of one. I know, right? Yeah, sagging. But I think next week we'll hit double three. It'll be episode 33. We'll let you know about, I guess, week 2 of the NFL preseason. The baseball races are actually picking up too. We'll catch you more on that in the future.
We gotta get into the NL wild card because that shit is terrible.
I know, and
But
no
it's
team wants to
close.
win it.
No one wants
team.
to
I mean,
win it. It's close.
don't get me wrong. The Phillies do. The Phillies have pulled away, but besides the Phillies,
There's one spot left for 4 teams. So I think the Giants are
Yeah.
probably in it, but maybe 2 spots for 5 teams. We'll see.
Yeah.
So we'll dig into some wild card races next week. We'll go over our final NFL breakdowns with the AFC and NFC South, which pray to God we make those 5 minutes because they're going to be terrible.
Yep.
Maybe get into some predictions for college football if we have time, because we do need to do that at some point before the season starts.
Yep.
And then maybe getting an update and a mugshot from Wander Franco. But we'll see.
God, and of course we have fantasy football starting soon. Our draft in 3 weeks.
We do.
Yeah,
About that.
but we'll let you know next time on the 31305 podcast. Until then, I'm Alex,
I'm Taylor.
and we'll see you then.